Talking about the American government here. We're talking about an entity that exists above or beyond elected officials. These are unelected oligarchs, and these are people that have no allegiance to country or flag. So it's a bit of a misnomer to describe them as, the American government. We're not talking about the American government here. We're talking about globalists.
People of the world, look at Berlin, where a wall came down, a continent came together, and history proved that there is no challenge too great for a world that stands as one. While the 20th century taught us that we share a common destiny, the 21st century has revealed a world more intertwined than at any time in human history. In this new world, such dangerous currents have swept along faster than our efforts to contain them. And that is why we cannot afford to be divided. The burdens of global citizenship continue to bind us together. Partnership and cooperation among nations is not a choice. It is the only way, the one way, to protect our common security and advance our common humanity.
I could see in a half century or less or more, China evolving into the status of a superpower, possibly India. Europe will be an area, I would hope, of great prosperity, but it will not be a political superpower. By the very nature of the democratic system that underpins it, there isn't that type of consensus behind it. So the United States power will decline, but I think that it's unlikely to be replaced by equivalent power anywhere else. And I think that for even those countries we talked about, their problems will be very, very great in the future, as America's will be. And I think it's a safe bet to say that in the world of the 21st century, all the powers of the nation state, of all nation states, will decline to some extent.
We're moving towards the uncompleted pyramid being finished, which will be the New World Order: one world government, one world religion, one world cash, total enslavement.
I think the idea of having a union at the North American level or a single world government is really more of a red herring that people who are frightful of any collaboration with any country throw up as a way to try to avoid discussing any serious issue. I think the greatest threat to our three countries are those people who try to intimidate others from having a genuine debate on what our long-term interests mean, and those who think that we will prosper by remaining stationary, by not changing. I think that is the greatest threat that we have to avoid.
Incrementally, through virtually every means of communication, they're inculcating in the idea in us to not care about our sovereignty, not care about our independence, not care about ourselves as individuals and our individual worth as we chase things like money that become what our self-worth is based on, or looks that become what our self-worth is based on, which are based on ideals. And those ideals are designed to corrupt the way we think about the world, the way we value ourselves as individuals. If we don't value ourselves as individuals, we won't value our country as an individual country, and then it will be allowed to be subsumed into a UN global government.
They can't just come out and start a one world government, a one world order, a one world religion. It's going to have to be incremental, and that's exactly what they're doing now. They're slowly joining countries together because they're going to join all the countries together into their plan for a new world order, a one world government. Because when you have a one world state, a one world government, a one world religion, one world currency, you have less people control, more power than ever throughout history. They have to do it incrementally because that's the only way they could do it successfully. When they do it very slowly, people won't see it around them. If they do it really quickly, they know the people will resist, the people will stand up against them and not tolerate their power grab for the whole world.
I am not looking to see any great progress here towards a deepening of our relationship on the economic and security side in the foreseeable future. But I personally think it will come. It will come.
We're wondering how people would feel in America about a North American Union, kind of like a European Union between Canada, U.S., and Mexico.
You got me.
No?
No.
You haven't heard of it yet?
No.
You heard of the North American Union plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Amero?
Oh man, that's way beyond my scope, Maddie. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Honestly, it wouldn't make a difference to me.
No?
It just kind of goes right over my head, so it wouldn't make a difference to me. I seriously don't know. I have no idea.
Have you heard of a currency called the Amero?
No, I haven't.
Have you heard of the SPP, Security and Prosperity Partnership?
No.
It's a deal that was signed in 2005 between Canada, U.S., and Mexico.
Have you heard of the Security and Prosperity Partnership?
No, I haven't heard of that.
Have you ladies heard of the European Union, where all the countries in Europe kind of merge together into one country? No. No? EU, they use a euro, they have one currency. Have you heard of the European Union? No.
No.
No. No.
No? Have you heard of the European Union, EU? Okay.
If one leader rules everything, do you know how fucked up the world is going to be, man?
I find when I mention topics like the Security and Prosperity Partnership or North American Community or even the European Union that people have never heard of this stuff before. Do you think that people need to be encouraged to start looking into these issues if we're going to be facing them in the future?
Well, I think that information and a knowledgeable public is a fundamental requirement for a democracy. And I worry greatly about the fact that people are, in many cases in our modern democracies, willfully uninformed. It's not that the information isn't available, especially with the internet. You can get information if you want it, but people just aren't interested. In a recent by-election in Ontario, 25% turnout. 25%. Unlike Afghanistan, nobody was threatening to cut your fingers off or to kill you if you voted. So, but there is a lack of democratic engagement, and part of that is a lack of involvement with understanding the issues, whatever they may happen to be.
Tengo la posibilidad ni el gobierno de darte más información. Aquí la poca que ves en la tele y lo poco que oyes es lo que logras ver y saber.
Volvamos a lo mismo, todo es un genérico de desinformación. Yo te podría expresar más si yo supiera, pero como el tiempo para subsistir no nos da tiempo para informarnos.
The main problem is, nowadays, I mean, you have a family. I mean, both parents have to work just to scrape by. People don't have time to look into these things. So, and it's often a survival mechanism where people tend to be happy and comfortable in their own little comfort bubble, and to step outside of that and to have somebody suggest to you that the way things are run is not necessarily the way you think they are, it makes people uncomfortable, because now you have to admit that maybe you're wrong. You have to admit that maybe things aren't the way you thought they were. So really what people need to do is swallow their pride and seek truth honestly and unbiasedly.
Because that is the ultimate weapon in the fight against the people's minds, is the truth. Right now, there's a war on for your mind. And right now, these people, they're not doing it by force, they're doing it through policy.
People are slowly beginning to wake up to the fact that the Fourth Estate has simply not done their job with regards to North American Union or 9/11 or any of the other significant events that have occurred over the last 15, 20 years, probably even further back. People are waking up. They're not getting the truth from the Fourth Estate. The mainstream media will deliberately lie to you. They will distract you from the truth.
The only threat is an informed, educated, participatory democracy. And we're not participant. And we're choosing to be misinformed by the propaganda given to us, and we're not educated on these issues. We have, by and large, a bi-party system in Canada. You have your Liberals and you have your Conservatives. In the United States, they have Republican and Democrat. But society, individuals as a whole, we get all excited at election time, and we elect an individual who's been appointed to that position to go fulfill that role, and the people who are appointing them are the very people who want to march us down to this whole globalization North American Union. We are losing our nation before our very eyes. We are at war. The other side is playing for keeps. And Canadian citizens are not standing up for this great country. And we need the citizens of our nation to stand up, stand strong, stand free, and vote themselves into power and take back what is rightfully theirs and their children to come.